Hello there, person watching this video. My name's The Beak, and you join me here, standing in the darkness. Why am I outside? Why have I left the sanctity of my goon cave? Well, it's because today, you and me, we're going to be talking about horror. Yes, horror. Hands down, one of the most popular things of all time. Ever. You got horror books, comics, games, movies. It seems like wherever you look in the year of our Lord Big 2024, you will see something spooky scary. However, if anything, person watching this video, the most popular species of horror in current year, it isn't any of those things that I just mentioned. Nah, God no, the most popular kind of horror at the minute is this, analog horror. If you've been using the internet at all over the past couple of years, it's a fact to life that you would have seen something to do with the spooky analog horror. This genre of horror, it's genuinely taken it not just the internet by storm, but the entire world. Thing is though, thanks to just how insanely popular analog horror has become, it's led to a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of downright ugly. So much so that some people online even think that the entire genre's pretty much gone down the gutter.
What is this?
It's a TikTok trend, Batman.
And that brings us to today. Since the spooky day is right around the corner, I think now is as good a time as ever to sit down, activate my John Brian Roth YouTube alt account, and binge watch some analog horror, or to answer one very specific question. What in the name of all that's holy has the internet done to analog horror? So how about you sit down, get comfy, help me reach 200,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button now, and brace yourself, because it's time to shit our pants. Welcome to the Beakoween special. But first, here's some The Beak lore for you, person watching this video. The other day, while I was playing some Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, I saw a tweet pop up on my second monitor talking about how 2024, it's been an insane year for data breaches. Dell suffered a data breach that exposed 3.9 million customer records. AT&T had 2 breaches affecting an approximated 2.5 million and 9 million customers. Ticketmaster experienced a breach compromising over 560 million customer records. But most alarming of all, just a few months ago, National Public Data announced that they had suffered a breach of 2.9 billion records. These records including first names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers. This breach, it potentially affects every American. But thankfully, I don't have to worry about breaches because I use today's sponsor, Aura. By monitoring your public data across billions of data points like the dark web, Aura protects you from any dubious hackers who may want to distribute the information online. And that's not all. Besides monitoring public court records to alert you about potentially having your identity stolen, and providing up to $5 million in identity theft insurance in case the worst happens, Aura, they offer a whole bunch of other features all aimed to keep you safe online. Real-time alerts for data breaches, a VPN for secure browsing, a data broker opt-out to stop companies from stealing your personal info, a password manager to help you create and store strong passwords, and a whole bunch more. Look, plain and simple, I like being safe online, and if you're like me, you're not leaving your safety and your family's safety vulnerable. So if you want to try Aura for 2 weeks completely for free, all you have to do is click on my link in the pinned comment and description of this video, aura.com/thebeak. That's aura.com/thebeak. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. Right, now that we're back inside, and before we get too far ahead of ourselves, before we delve too far down into the good, the bad, and the ugly of analog horror, how did analog horror really come into existence? Well, how about we link the mainframe, hop on the teleporter, and travel back to the early 2010s. Now, in the early 2010s, as you can probably imagine, the internet and the planet all of us Homo sapiens call home was very, 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 very different. For starters, this is what I looked like. But more importantly, the online world, it was filled with shit like Rage Trollface comics, the weird Justin Bieber hate boner, and a certain game that you may have heard of before. A game called Slender Man. Sure, okay, Skibbity Man law scholars are probably gonna get angry with me in the comments, you know, all three of them that are left. Look, I know that technically Slender Man came out in 2009. Look, it's a graph. It only really started to pick up steam in 2012. And oh my god, man, let me tell you, this game, it really picked up steam. If you were using the internet at the time, like I was, I've been terminally online like forever, then bro, you would have seen something to do with the very tall, slender individual. You had the original game where you walked around in the spooky forest collecting Slender Man's 8 diary pages. But then you also had stories of people encountering the Slendinky Man and oh, holy fuck, oh, it's a photo of Slender Man in real life. Bro, people even made a whole Slender Man cinematic universe filled with characters like Slender Man was huge. And you want to know one of the main consequences of Skibbity Man's popularity? Besides the movie, Slender Man popularized internet creepypastas. Look, I really don't think I need to sit here and waffle on and on and on about creepypastas being popular, because we all know that. Everybody knows how popular they are, and had some stupid creepypasta story that used to scare them shitless when they were a kid. And mine was this thing, this creature. It's called the Rake. He came to me in my sleep from the foot of my bed. I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England. We shall not return here again at the request of the Rake. And sure, like, it is easy to joke about and point fun at creepypastas because the majority of them are like baby's first scary story. Oh, he bought a copy of SpongeBob, but oh, that isn't friend Bob. No, it's evil Bob. Oh, fuck. But creepypastas, they're one of the 3 founding ingredients of modern analog horror. They're a crucial part of the game theory. People creating and translating scary internet stories from forum page to MP4 file, but understandably, it's the natural progression of things. So what about the other 2 ingredients? Well, you see, besides creepypastas having a massive influence on the origins of analog horror, you also had shit like this. Found these network hijacking, oh no, there's a spooky man on my screen videos. I've always found them really fucking funny, because imagine like you're a kid, right? You're watching SpongeBob or Bluey, or you're eating your lunchly, you're chilling, but then
our journey to victory has begun! Death to the MPLA!
More importantly, these network hijacking videos, they're the second key ingredient. People saw that max headroom signal hijacking video, you know, this video, probably one of the most popular and earliest examples of a network hijacking, bro, invaded Chicago's TV broadcast all the way back in 1987.
Which hadn't put up a sack in 12 quarters, finally
Was that the bite of 87?
These people saw this and thought to themselves, holy shit, that's fucking peak. What? Hang on. What if I make something that looks like that? And oh my god, people have. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. What about the last key ingredient? We've spoken about creepypastas, we've spoken about hijacked broadcasts, and now allow me to introduce to you a movie called The Blair Witch Project. This movie is quite spooky. And in my opinion, I reckon The Blair Witch Project is the 3rd main ingredient in the origins of analog horror. But How? Warning, spoilers incoming. I know this movie came out in 1999, 25 years ago, but spoilers for the 25-year-old movie incoming. The Blair Witch Project is a movie that showcases three main characters, Heather, Michael, and Josh, shooting a documentary video essay all about the Blair Witch. Holy fuck, no ways. However, things go wrong. They eventually fall victim to John Blair Witch. It is so over. And the idea of this movie is that the footage they recorded is found after their reset character moments, and that's what we're watching. The Blair Witch Project is a found footage movie. Besides the really goated found footage nature style of this movie, something that a shit ton of analog horror videos use nowadays, if you click on an analog horror video, it's the spooky camera overlay green screen effect. A large chunk of the Blair Witch's marketing and promotional material listed the actors as either being missing or being game-ended. And this idea of blurring the lines between fiction and reality, this idea of immersing you in a story that may have happened in real life, holy shit, no ways. It's a massive cornerstone of the entire analog horror genre. A stylistic idea that I think wouldn't be a thing without the Blair Witch Project. So here we have the three founding ingredients of modern analog horror: creepypastas, network hijackings, the Blair Witch Project. And when people online took these three ingredients, put them in a bowl and started fucking cooking back in the day, analog horror series like Local 58, No Through Road, Gemini Home Entertainment, and Marble Hornets were unleashed into our world. And once this happened, the analog horror nuclear arms race truly began. Now that we have the origins of analog horror in our brain, we're all up to speed with the law and game theory, let's start with the good. Because, oh my god, let me tell you, there's some really good analog horror on the internet, especially on YouTube. Like, I know some people online think that analog horror has been ruined, and sure, there are some aspects of it that I don't like, which I'm gonna get into later, foreshadowing. But I don't think it's as simple as black and white, it used to be good, but now it is bad. Now, God no, firstly, it's not like those original analog horror series that everybody really loved. I mean, it's not like they disappeared or something. They still exist, and if you want to watch some really good analog horror, all you have to do is search up something like personal favorite of mine is Local 58, turn all the lights off in your room, and have your mind corrupted by the mood. The fucking mood! But I get it, rewatching something good, while it's really enjoyable, it'll never hit the same, because you know everything that's gonna happen. Personal example of mine, now while it isn't a show or some YouTube series, one of my favorite games of all time is Call of Duty Black Ops 1. This shit changed my brain chemistry. Absolute peak. But I also know that no matter how many times I replay it, it'll never hit me as hard as the first time I played it when I was like when I was like 10 years old. Still really good and still really peak. But I can't be surprised about finding out what the numbers mean if I already know what the numbers mean.
Mason, we're gonna put you in the Mason. Kiss my ass!
So, is there any good current analog horror? Oh my god, yes. Besides just all of the analog horror shitposts which make me deceased. While sitting down and pondering and scheming and plotting shit for this video, I spent quite a few hours watching a whole bunch of different analog horror series. Some good, some just kind of mid, some really bad. So let me tell you, when it's good, it's really good. The prime example of a goated analog horror series that I think everybody should watch, one that now since watching it, I just can't stop Wojak pointing at my screen whenever I see something about it, is the Walten Files. Like most people around my age who've spent way too much time rotting on the internet, I have this really weird relationship with Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, look, go on, look what I'm wearing for my Halloween costume. For fuck's sake, man. Look at this. When I was younger, when I was still this guy, Five Nights at Freddy's, it scared the shit out of me. I was fucking petrified side of it. But I spend so much time sitting and reading wiki articles and learning lore and watching Markiplier Let's Play videos and all of that type of shit. Even nowadays, I still like Five Nights at Freddy's. Look at the costume. With that being said, though, I also think that Five Nights at Freddy's story and writing is an overly stupid, overly convoluted mess. Like, look at this. Huh? What is this? The Walten Files is Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's actually well written. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. I don't want to give any Walten Files spoilers, because this is an analog horror series that I genuinely, wholeheartedly believe that you need to watch. You see this community poll I did the other day? This one? If you're in the 61% of the 17,000 people who clicked on I have not, watch it. Watch the Walten Files. It's really fucking good. Another goated modern analog horror series is the Mandela Catalogue. Though I don't want to talk about it too much because I haven't actually finished watching it yet. But bro, what I have watched, it's really good. Hang on, let me make a list real quick. Let's call it the peak analog horror series that you need to watch list. The Walten Files, the Mandela Catalogue, all of those OG series like Local 58. There we go. I think we're starting off strong. What else can we write down though? Come on, brain. Think. Neuron activation. No, hang on. No, you know what? I know what we can write down. While going down the analog horror video rabbit hole, I stumbled across a channel called Dr. Nowhere. And something I find kind of interesting about Dr. Nowhere is that I had actually seen some of his stuff before ever actually figuring out that he was the guy who made it. I'm talking about the boiled one. This whimsical looking creature, it got mad popular a couple of months ago. And figuring out that Dr. Nowhere is the guy who made it, that was really cool. So I stayed on his channel for a little bit, watching through some of his videos. And then I stumbled across this one, the Oddity Compendium Inst 1. Oh my god, there's a part of this video that I think is really good, but really creepy at the same time. The whole idea of this video is that it's teaching all of us, the viewers, it's teaching all of us about some spooky creatures called oddities. One of these oddities being found at the 1 minute 28 second mark, the mattress folk. Plain and simple, the mattress folk are parasitic human-like oddities that live in and resemble your mattress, eventually consuming you. Do you want to know what I had to do after watching this video? I had to go to bed. I had to lie on my mattress. Fuck, I'm gonna get bored. I reckon we can add anything by Dr. Nowhere onto the list. Yeah, let me just, there we go. Dr. Nowhere's on the list. But now, I need your help. There is a lot of good analog horror on YouTube. However, time is marching on here. So, what else can I add to the list? Let me know in the comments. Tell me about some good analog horror videos. Now though, with the good of analog horror spoken about, I think it's time that we talk about... I want to ask you a question real quick, person watching this video. When the next couple of words come out my mouth, you know, what pops up in your brain? What do you think of? Here we go. Edge for edge sakes. See, me, when I think of that, the first thing that pops into my brain is that Shadow the Hedgehog game from 2006, you know this one. What the fuck is this? But if I do more pondering and thinking, you know who comes to mind? This guy, UrbanSpook. Yes, UrbanSpook. Somebody that if you're up to date with your analog horror lore, you know exactly who this is. Though, if you aren't up to date, plain and simple TLDR for you, spoiler warning, and I guess. UrbanSpook is an analog horror YouTuber who uploaded his first video around a year ago. And this video, it's the first installment in an 8-episode long analog horror series all about a serial game overer called called The Painter. Ooh, but guess what, person watching this video? The Painter, it isn't just one person. No, it's two. Ooh, I'm shitting myself. Why is he called The Painter? Look, I know I just said there's two of them, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to refer to them as one singular thing. It just sounds better. Well, it's because he paints pictures of his victims after he gets done with them. And okay, what I will say is that some of these paintings, some of them, they're quite well done. Others look like shitposts. But lots of them, they are well made. But now you may be thinking to yourself, okay, cool, UrbanSpook, the painter, he's scary and evil, cool. Why is he in the bad section? Well, it's because UrbanSpook and his entire analog horror series, they perfectly highlight some of the baddest aspects of modern analog horror. Besides the fact that the writing of this series is just, it's really bad. Like there's a part in the episode titled Clue where the painter climbs up a drain pipe into a guy's house and buries him in candle wax. So that means he carried all of this wax. he carried all of this wax up the drain pipe with him. Firstly, UrbanSpook apparently doesn't take criticism of his series very well. But secondly, and more importantly, holy fucking edge. The amount of just overly edgy shit that happens in not just one or two of these episodes, but literally all of them. It's crazy. It's just violent shock value for the sake of having violent shock value. But what makes it even more edgy is that quite a bit of this violent shock value happens to children. This series is just a mess of the darkness, the demon, violence, and destruction. You don't know my dark passenger. Thing is though, before sitting down and unfortunately watching UrbanSpook's Painter series, I had heard some rumblings online that this series was disgusting and horrible and awful and all of that type of thing. And sure, while it is, do you want to know the main consequence of every single episode just being overly edgy, shock value trash? By the time I got done watching all of these episodes, bro, I was falling asleep. Fucking urban sleep. After the first couple of episodes, all of this shock value loses whatever impact it may have had. And it just becomes so boring. Watching all of these episodes, it's just painful, man. Not because I can't believe what my eyes are seeing. Oh fuck, I'm so disturbed. Nah, it's because it just becomes a slog. It's a chore. It's the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. It loses everything. And hey, while we're talking about analog horror that put me to sleep, I think it's time that we move on from UrbanSpook, thank God, onto something that is a hell of a lot better, but still isn't the best in my opinion. Though, if anything, this next thing I'm going to be talking about is probably one of the most divisive, most polarizing topics I've ever seen on the internet. Skinamarink. Now, thanks to the success at analog horror on the internet, I think it was really bloody obvious that eventually we were going to get an analog horror inspired movie. Hello, Skinamarink. Directed by a guy called Kyle Edward Ball. The whole idea of Skinamarink is two children waking up in the middle of the night to find their father is missing, and all the windows and doors in their home have vanished. Their toilet disappears too. No! Skippity! And hey, side note, power to him. Kyle Edward Ball had a budget of $15,000 when he directed Skinamarink. Do you want to know how much money it made at the box office? Not $50,000, not $100,000, not $200,000. It made $2.1 million. Skinamarink was a massive success.
Money.
Back on track though, why is Skinamarink so polarizing? Why do some people love it where others hate it? When looking up stuff about Skinamarink online, you'll either find people just fucking glazing the movie, talking about how it's one of the greatest horror films ever made, oh, it's so fucking scary. Or you'll see people talking about how ridiculously overrated it is. Why why? I think it all has to do with how, let's say, artistic this movie is. All in all, throughout my 23 years of roaming this earth, I don't think I've seen anything quite like Skinamarink. It's unique. It's like one of those movies you'd see at some art film expo and not your local movie theater that sells overpriced stale popcorn. The main word that pops into my mind when I think of this movie is ambiguous. It's like, it feels like something Hideo Kojima would make. But, as I said, I'm somebody who doesn't like Skinamarink all that much. And here's why. The best way I think I can describe Skinamarink... Wait, hang on, I'm talking about a movie. I need to have an animated avatar cross his arms in the right-hand corner. The best way I can describe Skinamarink as somebody who doesn't like it is stare at the wall of the movie. Like, sure, I know what this movie was going for. You know, nightmares, the fear of the unknown, being a child waking up at midnight. Oh, I can't go to the bathroom because Springtrap's gonna get me. I appreciate its aesthetic. I think it nails the vibes of analog horror. But if anything, I reckon Skinamarink, it's all style over substance. And keep this in your brain, by the way. Sitting down and actually watching Skinamarink, nothing really happens for like 90% of its runtime. Sure, there is some creepy stuff in that 10%. But the majority of Skinamarink is all, here is wall, here is door opening, oh, here's a light. And speaking of runtime, another complaint I and many other people have with Skinamarink is, holy shit, this movie's really fucking long. In total, Skinamarink, it's an hour and 40 minutes long. I think this is just too long for this kind of movie. For the first couple of minutes, these look at the spooky wall shots, they are quite cool. But then you watch a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and it's more walls, and more hallways, and more lights, so you watch a little bit more, and a little bit more, and nothing's happening, so you watch a little bit more, and a little bit more, and then you take your hand, wiggle your mouse, and then you see that you're only 10 minutes into this hour and 40 minutes. Oh, fucking so over. Let's circle back to that thing I told you to keep in your brain from earlier, though. Style over substance. You see, since analog horror as a whole has gotten just so insanely popular, when looking into what some people think are some of the bad aspects of analog horror in this current moment of existence, you'll often find people talking about style over substance in conversations all about tropes. Yeah, like literally everything else, when a thing gets popular, eventually tropes emerge. You know, shit like, I am the chosen one, or it was all in my head, or I need to climb a tower in a Ubisoft game. Analog horror, it does have its fair share tropes, some of them that I personally don't mind, but I can see why other people don't like them, and then some that I absolutely just cannot fucking stand. First up, let's talk about the tropes that I don't really mind, but can see why other people may not like them. The spooky eyes. If you decide to sit down and watch an analog horror video, you will see these eyes looking at you, staring into your soul. I've got no idea where they first originated from, like where they first came into existence, but man, this shit, it's everywhere. But I personally don't really mind all that much. I can see why other people don't like them though. I mean, sure, they can be spooky, scary, and creepy, but bro, they're used a lot. And you know what? While we're talking about spooky facial features, face in the darkness. I guarantee you, if you sit down and binge an analog horror series, at some point there will be a spooky face in the spooky void. Now, I do understand why some people might get annoyed at this type of thing, because of just like the spooky eyes of face in void, it gets used a lot. But if I'm being completely honest, I think that if it's done right, it can be spooky. The same is true for emergency broadcasts. I reckon out of all of the tropes in analog horror, the emergency broadcast VHS, we are the American government, this is the trope you'll see the most. I mean, I even made one for my annoying orange video.
Incoming broadcast from the Beak Research Institute of Peculiar Happenings. Incoming broadcast from the Beak Research Institute.
Hello, do not be alarmed.
At 1900 hours on the 29th of May 2024, we experienced a security breach in Sector 2.
Because a core idea of analog horror is blurring the line between fiction and reality, a good way to blur this line is to incorporate something from real life that lots of people find creepy. I mean, I know I do. If I was watching, I don't know, Family Guy on TV, but then something like this popped up on screen, I'd shit myself. Thing is though, lots of these broadcasts, they are quite repetitive. And as a whole, this kind of spooky, creepy broadcast, it has become quite formulaic. Still though, if it's done right, I think it can be quite cool. I think it can be quite creepy. You know, it sets quite a tense atmosphere. Moving on from the tropes that I personally don't mind though, I want to talk about one main one that when I see it, oh my god, I can't stand it. My brain just fucking melts. Entity. There's just something about the word entity that I don't even know why really, and maybe it's because whenever I think of the word entity, my brain just gets filled with images of what happened to the backrooms and more foreshadowing. Ooh. And okay, sure, ironically it can be funny, like the Randy Orton entity makes me fucking cry. But unironically, it's just so fucking it's just been so overused. It's just lost all meaning. Most of the time the entity being described is just, it's like, oh, it's the fucking tickle monster. It's just so stupid. There are more tropes that I haven't spoken about, like some people not liking the fact that some analog horror series can be seen as derivatives of other analog horror series, and overuse of liminal spaces, a lack of clear narrative, different videos looking really samey. But all in all, the core idea behind the frustration surrounding these tropes, it's all thanks to one of the main points people bring up when talking about the bad of modern analog horror: oversaturation. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of analog horror videos on YouTube. We all know this. And all these tropes exist because of the sheer volume of videos. Since there are so many people creating analog horror videos, and purposefully or not, these people might create something that looks really similar to something else, spawning this idea that analog horror is just filled and oversaturated with videos that all look the same, and it's all shit about like, oh, the spooky scary entity is going to come and vor me, and they all start with shit like, hello, this is a broadcast from Lobotomy Incorporated. And while researching this point of analog horror oversaturation, I think friend of the channel Raymundo put it best in his video talking about whether or not analog horror had been ruined. Full credit to him for this next point. The problem with oversaturation is that if you end up watching 5 or so odd videos about analog horror, one being really good, like one being absolute peak, but the other 4 just being kind of mid, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, bringing your entire perception of analog horror down with it, because just look at all of this mid. Why would I bother trying to find a good analog horror video if this side of YouTube is just a sea of They might even have a friend telling them how peak and how goated analog horror is, but then when they check it out for themselves, what is this, bro? They become disillusioned with the entire genre. And with all that being said, person watching this video, I think it's time to move on. We've spoken about the good, we've spoken about the bad, and now it's time to talk about... When I sit down and fire up my neurons and think of the uglier analog horror, there are 2 things that have been thrown into the analog horror conversation that not instantly pop up in my brain. The first thing being something I've spoken about on my channel before, and the second being something that I haven't spoken about. But as soon as the word comes out of my mouth, you'll know exactly what I mean. The backrooms and Siren Head. Starting with the backrooms, look, I know, trust me, I do. In this current moment of existence, the backrooms, they kind of fell off. Nobody really talks about them anymore. But man, go back 1 or 2 years ago, oh fuck, I just no-clipped into some spooky yellow rooms. Holy shit, this stuff was crazy popular. Thing is though, the backrooms and the backrooms that was popular, 2 wildly different things. You see, much like a whole bunch of other other analog horror stuff, the Backrooms started life as a creepypasta that got shared across a whole bunch of different places on the internet. Specifically, this photo started to get a whole bunch of traction, started to make waves on 4chan. Here's a quick fun Backrooms lore trivia fact for you. For a while, nobody really knew where this photo was taken. You know, this is a certified lost media moment. But good news, in May of this year, 2024, some internet detectives discovered where this actually was. Apparently, this photo was taken during the renovation of a furniture store in Wisconsin. Wow. Back on track though, what really exploded the Backrooms into the public eye, into public consciousness, was this found footage video by the YouTuber Kane Pixels. In this video, you see a man wearing an aminal mask and crawling along a shipping container and jump scaring his friend. Yeah, the whole idea of the Backrooms is one day you'd be walking around, getting up to your daily tomfoolery, but then you'd no-clip into this weird, spooky, seemingly endless yellow place where everything looks the same no matter how far you walk and no matter where you look. Cool, interesting, I like that, I always have. The idea of being trapped in this place for the rest of your life where everything looks the same, slowly driving you insane, I dig it. However, look, I'm gonna be completely honest here, there is a part of this video that I don't really like all that much, and this part, to put on my fancy video essay YouTuber voice here, would act as catalyst to the Backrooms becoming the slop rooms. There's a part of this video where no, it's a troll face monster. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Me, personally, I really don't like the idea of physical monsters and spooky, scary entities being in the Backrooms. But hey, okay, cool. In the OG Kane Pixels video, the troll face monster, it isn't the worst thing in the world, I guess. Surely the internet won't run this concept into the ground. The amount of absolute slop that invaded the Backrooms when it became really popular is something I genuinely think should be studied. Instead of just being left as one place, the endless yellow room, something that I find genuinely quite unsettling. Now, you know what we need? We need infinite levels and entities and lore. We need lore. I love lore. I love lore so much. Like, bro, some of this is so dumb. The snack rooms, the moon, different factions, hundreds of entities. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? This sucks. This is awful. If anything, I think a good way to describe what the internet did to the Backrooms is that the Backrooms, they essentially became another version of the SCP Foundation. Now, let me be clear. I don't have a problem with the SCP Foundation. I think like everybody a couple of years ago, I binge watched those SCP Foundation explained infographic videos. I've just never really cared about it all that much. I'm not saying it's bad or anything. God no, I've just never really been all that interested in SCP. I know that lots of people love it though, and hey, if you are one of those people, good for you. Fight me, demon! Get out of here, brothers! No! Thing is though, turning the Backrooms into another SCP Foundation fundamentally destroys what I and many other people think make the Backrooms scary and unique. In my opinion, the Backrooms work best and are the scariest when it's just you. You've got no idea what's going on. You're stuck in a place that you can't even really fully comprehend properly. This idea of isolation and losing your mind and going insane, I really think that's A, interesting, and B, fucking horrifying. It gives the Backrooms this unsettling, unique creepiness that I haven't really ever seen anything else do all that much. Something that disappears when people start trying to explain everything and fill it with creepypasta monsters and make lore and it needs all of this other shit. But hey, you know what? If monsters in the Backrooms have to exist, I reckon they can be done in a way that fits in with this idea of isolation and losing your mind. What if instead of being a physical force, something that exists, something that's always there, these monsters, they play into the idea of you losing your mind. They never make themselves truly known. And look, I know it's kind of cliche, but you look down a hallway, nothing. But then you look down another, and there's something there, just peeking around a wall, not coming after you, just watching you. And as quick as you see it, it's gone. Was it actually there? Does it exist? Is it in here with me? Or is it just a consequence of a fractured mind? And speaking of fracturing your mind, oh my god, the amount of just awful, horrible slop room shit that was made by people trying to mooch off of its popularity is crazy. For starters, you got those just awful YouTube videos, you know, shit like, can we survive, escape the backrooms? But then you also got a shit ton of poorly made by all of these microtransactions Roblox hobby, bootleg merch, games on Steam that are just awful and broken and horrible, just
Hide!
Yo, apparently fuck off! Oh, this game is making me annoyed.
It's making me fucking angry.
This sucks. I hate it. I hate it. Now that I've spoken about the backrooms for a little bit, though, I think it's time to move on to that second thing I mentioned earlier, Siren Head. If you've been on the internet at all over the past couple of years, then I'm damn sure you've seen these pictures and videos. And here's the lore. Created in 2018 by a guy called Trevor Henderson, Siren Head is a very tall and creepy looking individual with speakers and sirens on his head. A design that would be shamelessly copied by once human. Now, like the SCP Foundation, Siren Head is another thing that I've just never really cared about. I think the design is cool, and I think him blaring sounds out of his head, I think it's kind of fucking funny. But man, let me tell you, people loved Siren Head. Bro was everywhere a couple of years ago. And this popularity, it led to a lot of just awful things happening. Like, I genuinely feel really bad for Trevor Henderson. First of all, Siren Head, besides being the main focus of a whole bunch of just slop Roblox games, what started out as a cool looking creature has now it's become a pillar of brain rot.
Siren Head versus Lighthead in GTA 5 mods epic battle.
So check it out, guys, I've got my good friend right over here, and together we're gonna look for Lighthead to have them battle. Now, apparently Lighthead is like Siren Head, but with some kind of light? Whoa, hold on, we can't start like this, man.
If you find a brain rot channel on YouTube, there's like a 99.9999999% chance that at some point they uploaded a video with Siren Head in it. And sure, this stuff sucks, like it sucks. But I also think it's kinda interesting how horror things that get popular on the internet nowadays, lots of it is almost horror for kids. And sometimes characters that aren't even made for kids get absorbed into this shit via osmosis. Like Siren Head, I don't think it was made for kids, but it got popular with kids, which then led to a whole bunch of kids' channels including it in their videos, making it even more popular with kids. Vice versa, the cycle continues. I don't know why this happens for certain. Maybe it's got to do with kids being the majority of people who use the internet and spend the most time on it. Sounds strange to say, but creepypasta type stuff in general, it's always weirdly had this large younger audience. If I really rack my brain and like try to come up with a game theory, I think it may have to do with kids getting scared more easily than I don't know, like someone like me, like a 23-year-old man, making them more interested in the story. It's almost like morbid curiosity. Here we have a spooky creepypasta photo of a dog. Me, an old man, I look at this and think it's just kind of dumb, you know, it's a dog with a scary creepypasta smile. The kid, they'll look at this and there's a good chance that they'll be scared of it. But then, instead of closing the tab, they'll want to look into it more. Remember how earlier I spoke about how when Five Nights at Freddy's 1 came out, it scared the shit out of me, but I was also really interested in it? I think kids liking creepypasta stuff, I think it works kind of the same way. Maybe it also has to do with something about the mascots. Let me know in the comments if you got any ideas. Moving on from brain rot, secondly, since Siren Head got so popular, a whole bunch of other people started started selling bootleg shit involving the character and basically underhandedly making money off of Trevor's work without crediting him. But where this gets even worse is that Trevor, he doesn't even have the trademark for the name Siren Head. You would think that since he's the creator of it, he would have trademarked it, right? Well, no. Full credit to the YouTuber Brugly for being the first person I saw talking about this. But when Siren Head was really blowing up a couple of years ago, a company called Yangzhou Ocus Trading Co. Ltd, they swooped in and trademarked the word Siren Head before Trevor got the chance to. This just sucks, man. Like, oh my god. Imagine you're this guy and you've pumped your heart and your soul into something, but then some corporate fat cats swoop in and steal it from you. Oh, fuck, this is just so slimy. But now you may be thinking to yourself, okay, cool, the backrooms, Siren Head, they're all bad and all of that type of stuff. Cool. Why are they in the ugly section of this video? Well, here's why. The way people on the internet have morphed these two things fundamentally goes against the very concept of analog horror. Sure, bad analog horror related things exist, but at the end of the day, these things, they're still trying to be analog horror. It's shit, but it's shit analog horror. This isn't that. This is the destruction of an idea. This is the internet taking something and just absolutely breaking it. And if I'm being completely honest, I reckon that the damage some people have done to the backrooms and Siren Head, two of the most popular analog horror related topics, it's another one of the main reasons why when people who aren't all too interested in analog horror think about analog horror, they think about it negatively because what's their frame of reference? Stupid backrooms videos that have got millions of views and skibbity toilet, Siren Head and Minecraft slop. Now though, let's circle back to that question from all the way back in the intro. What in the name of all that's holy has the internet done to analog horror? Well, in some areas, it's really good. In others, it's pretty bad. Some of it is just downright ugly. Which is why I think the internet has turned analog horror into a massive mixed bag. Because the genre has gotten so popular, it's faced the consequences of popularity. Some people have created some really interesting, really good stuff. Others have created things that are just pretty bad. And others have used analog horror to get views from kids, make awful games, sell shit merch, all of that type of stuff. At the end of the day though, your experience with analog horror, it's gonna come down to what you subjectively like. As I said earlier, I don't like Skinamarink, but other people do. And hey, that's cool. As for some people saying the genre's been ruined, I don't think so. Maybe getting a little bit stale in some aspects, sure, but ruined? Nah. I don't agree. With all that being said, I think I'm gonna leave this video here. Tell me though, what do you think of analog horror? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching this very long video. You know, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, join my Discord server, bell notification, buzzwords. Thank you Aura for sponsoring this video, and happy Beakoween.
Number 15. Subscribe to the Beak. If you don't, you will suffer a severe case of cringe, and you are taking part in bozo behavior. Thanks for watching.